Future generations will find life more interesting and better. Anytime I think of the future and humans, I see a life of great potentials yet to be unleashed. We'll be in control of everything that is meant to be. We don't even know how intelligent we are now. Here are the 5 craziest techs that'll be available in the future. Make sure you watch the video till the end and subscribe if you're awesome. Mind uploading. By the turn of the 22nd century, many humans will have opted for a purely digital existence, one free of all biological constraints. Called mind uploading or whole brain emulation, this will involve the meticulous copying of an existing biological brain. The scans would capture every cognitive detail down to the molecular level and include memories, associations, and even a person's personality quirks. Futurists aren't entirely sure how mind uploading will happen, but a critical step will be to make sure the important parts of a brain are copied, particularly those tied to a person's sense of identity, namely the parahippocampus and retrosplenial cortex. This could involve destructive copying, where an existing brain is sliced or otherwise taken apart in order to record a person's brain state and memories. Alternately, a sufficiently powerful brain scanner could be used to take a snapshot of a person's brain and then paste it into a computer capable of translating that information into a functioning mind. In order for an uploaded person to function normally, they would have to be equipped with a virtual body and environment. Weather control. It's unlikely that our species will be able to completely control the weather by the end of the current century, but we should be able to put a serious dent into it. We're already seeding clouds with particles to stimulate precipitation, and California has been doing this for nearly 50 years. During the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing, Chinese authorities fired 1,100 rockets into the clouds to trigger downpours before the storms reached the capital city. There are even efforts to fire laser pulses into thunderclouds in hopes of drawing out lightning in a controlled manner. More radically, we could eventually build a weather machine to create a programmable atmosphere. A particularly intriguing plan calls for a thin global cloud of small transparent balloons lifted up into the stratosphere, where it would shade or reflect the amount of incoming sunlight. A mirror would be placed inside each balloon, along with a GSP to monitor its location, an actuator to control its orientation, and a small computer. Lifted by hydrogen, the programmable greenhouse gas would come to a rest about 20 miles above the Earth's surface. When the millions of mirrors face away from the Earth, they would reflect the sunlight back into space. This system, guided by AI, could influence weather patterns around the world and turn marginally habitable areas into temperate regions. Mind-to-mind communication. Ongoing advances in communications technologies and neuroscience will transform humanity into a telepathic species. The advent of direct mind-to-mind communication will bring us even closer together as individuals and conceivably give rise to a hive mind, a vast network of interconnected minds working together over the future instantiation of the internet. In such a future, we may start to see the dissolution of the individual and the rise of a collective mass consciousness. Remarkably, this future may be closer than we think. Back in 2014, an international team of researchers were the first to demonstrate a direct and completely non-invasive brain-to-brain communication system. During their experiment, 2 participants were able to exchange mentally conjured words despite being separated by hundreds of miles. A year later, a separate team of researchers transmitted brain signals over the internet to control the hand motions of another person, allowing them to collaborate on a computer game. These systems, though extremely rudimentary, point to a future in which we can simply use our thoughts to converse with one another and telekinetically control smart devices in our environment. Artificial life forms. Not content to stop at genetic engineering, scientists of the future will be able to design and create new organisms from scratch, from microscopic synthetic bacteria through to redesigned humans, reminiscent of the replicants in Blade Runner. This burgeoning discipline, known as artificial life, or ALIFE, is the effort to recreate biological phenomenon with the help of computers and other synthetic media. The quest to create synthetic forms of life is already underway. Earlier this year, researchers from Synthetic Genomics and the J. Craig Venter Institute successfully created an artificial bacterial genome that, with its scant 473 genes, is smaller than anything found in nature. Further breakthroughs in this domain will help biologists explore the core functions of life and to categorize essential genes within cells. Researchers could use building block cells like these to construct organisms with capacities not found in nature, including bacteria that can consume plastic and toxic waste, and microorganisms that can function like medicines inside the body. In a related breakthrough, a new initiative co-founded by Harvard Medical School's George Church is seeking to create a synthetic human genome from scratch. The researchers say they're content to stop once they figure out how to power cells with synthetic human DNA, but the same technology could conceivably be used to create artificial organisms and even designer humans. Molecular assemblers. Think 3D printers are amazing? Just wait until the arrival of molecular assemblers, a hypothetical fabricator described by nanotechnology pioneer K. Eric Drexler in his seminal book, Engines of Creation. Drexler described a molecular assembler as a device capable of manipulating individual atoms to build a desired product. If you've ever seen an episode of Star Trek in which a member of the crew uses a replicator to churn out a steaming hot cup of Earl Grey tea, then you've basically seen a molecular assembler, which some futurists refer to as fabricators, or fabs for short. Drexler basically argued that biological assemblers already exist, producing complex and wonderful structures like bacteria, trees, and even you and me. Using the same logic, he figures we'll eventually be able to tap into the mechanical properties of the uber small and use similar principles to produce objects of any shape, form, or consistency. Fabs could introduce the world to an era of radical abundance, allowing us to produce items and materials that would otherwise be impossible to build, constructing them from the ground up, or more accurately, from the molecules on up. But these devices could even be used to produce items we're familiar with, like food. To make a steak, for example, the fabricator would take base materials, such as carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, and then arrange them into amino acids and proteins, which would then be assembled to form a steak. Thank you all for watching. Click the bell button so y'all don't miss out on our new video uploads.